Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name's Adrian. Today I'm talking about SLA Industries. Not the first and second editions that you can see over my shoulder, because this is a game world that I have loved since the 90s, but there is a brand new edition that's coming out that's going to be using the Savage Worlds engine, which, as you can see, because I'm actually talking about a quick start set of rules, which I've never done on this channel before, has got me really excited. It's two of my favourite things coming together. Now, what is SLA Industries? SLA Industries is a horror sci-fi kind of setting. It's dystopian as well, where SLA Industries is not only taken over the planet that the players live on, but it is taken over lots of planets. What is SLA Industries? SLA Industries is just a mega, well, it's beyond mega corporation now. It's just grown to this sort of monolith size that it runs planet after planet. It just takes everything it wants, hence the dystopian world. Now, the players are operatives that work for SLA Industries. Now, do they work for SLA Industries because they need money to feed themselves, somewhere to live, or they want fame, fortunes? Are they actually, and we've played through this, trying to gain up the ranks within SLA Industries to finally meet the big bad? All good, depending on how you think about Mr. Slayer, and might be able to take him out. The one thing that is always shining about this, whenever I talk about the amazing races, they are very unique, very different. We're going to get to see a couple of them because the Quick Start rules does become with an adventure. So it's a 4-part adventure that I've soloed through, played it. It's incredibly well laid out, actually, because it's got loads of hints and tips on, you know, how to play the game. We've got the rules in here, how to play Savage Worlds, and it sort of takes you through the pre-generated characters. I will show you. I'm not going to show you the adventure. Well, actually, I'll show you the sort of first page on how the adventure works. But honestly, because this is on sale as well, it's I think it's 37p at the time of recording. I think you'd be a fool not to pick this up. So let's stop wasting time. Let's take you over to the Drive-Thru RPG sort of teaser page so you can see what you're going to get and what's included in here. So I say 37p, what's that? Probably 60 US cents, somewhere around there. I'll put my affiliate link down in there because obviously if you do buy this, it does help. You know, I'll put that money back into the channel. For full disclosure, this was sent to me by Nightfall Games. They are fully aware how much I love SLA Industries. It's got strange magic in here, the Ebons and the Ebonites, which are, it's the race I always get to play. That I think in the first edition they were called Brain Wasters, and then so they get all the mystical powers and abilities. They have special suits. We're going to get to see one of them in here as well, so we can actually see it. And I'm just going to throw this out there. This has got some of the best artwork out. It's absolutely stunning once you look through the art. Well, as you can see here on the front cover, it is absolutely, and this is the artwork that you're going to get within the book. I say this is just Kickstart rules at this time. So what it's going to do, it's going to teach you how to play the Savage Worlds rule set. It's going to give you an adventure to go and play with your friends, and then 5 pre-generated player characters go. So we're not going to get to see how characters are generated or anything like that, but it will take you through and it's everything you need to get going. And I think that's probably what I should do. I should probably get going and start actually talking about this. So what we got, 76 pages by Nightfall Games, SLA Industries, Quick Start rules. Amazing. I'm just going to go through amazing. Written by Dave Alsop, Jared Earl, Ben Graybeaton and Mark Rapson. Variety of other sort of artists and stuff that's worked on it in here as well. So I've got the content, you know, slight grumble. It's not hyperlinked. One thing I do like, and I hope the core rulebook's going to have this, I'm just going to scroll through a couple of pages and you're going to see this introduction, sort of scroll down into the different sections. Again, small little detail, but something that I do really like when they include it. So it's going to talk about, you know, what is a role playing, talk about SLA Industries. I kind of explained the premise, but throughout this book, and again, will we see this in the core rule book, this is going to sort of give you hints and tips, and there's a lot of these boxes when it comes to the adventure as well. But yeah, it's, you know, it's a horror noir setting with many adult themes. It's obviously, it does feel very claustrophobic because you are in this sort of, well, it's Mort City, which is on the planet Mort. But the players are operatives, and the players are looking for blueprint news, or going forward, BPN. These are basically news bulletins or anything like that, which will give the players missions. They come in different colours, and the different colours will determine whether it's an investigation, an assassination, an off-planet mission. So the players, or the operatives going forward, can actually pick what they want and the sort of missions that they want to be doing. One thing they just need to be aware of, it's their SCL, which is their security clearance level, and that's going to start low. And as you gain more security clearance levels, it's going to get you closer and closer to the top of the building, and potentially to actually seeing and getting to talk to Mr. Slayer. And once you're there, what are you going to do? So let's just have a quick look at the character overview. All characters are made up of traits and edges, and traits, just think of them attributes. These are your stats, and then we've got a load of skills. Now, to achieve anything in the game, you're going to have a die related to that attribute or skill, and it's going to go from a D4 all the way up to a D12. And all you need on any of those dice that you roll is a 4 or more. You're nearly always going to have rolled 2 dice. Occasionally, you might have more, and if one of those dice, either of them, comes up with a 4 or more, you succeed. That's the game, okay? We've got a couple of derived stats as well. So we've got pace, parry, and toughness. Pace is how far you can move. Parry is your ability to block attacks coming in, sort of melee attacks. And toughness is the amount of damage you get to sort of shrug off as it comes in. From attributes points of view, we've got 5. We've got agility, smarts, spirit, strength, and vigor, all of which is explained towards the back when we start looking at the characters. Say tests are kind of just talked about that. So all you need is a 4. However, there are some raises in this game. So every 4 over that 4 that you roll, you will get a better success. You may do more damage. You may do the job quicker. It may be quieter. When it comes to opposed rolls, both players are going to roll, and whoever gets the highest is going to be the one that wins. Now, when it comes to dice rolls, you've got 2 types of dice. You've got your dice related to your attributes or skills, and then you've got a wild dice, and you always are going to roll both the dice. The wild dice is always going to be a D6. The other one might be, so your attribute or skill dice might be anywhere from a D4 all the way up to a D12. Now, all you need on either of those is a 4. Now, one thing the game does, and if you're aware of my channel, I love exploding dice. It's one of the things that kind of really drew me into playing Savage Worlds. So if you roll the maximum on any of those dice, either of them or both, it's what's called an ace, and then you get to re-roll it. If you roll that maximum again, you just keep going until you don't roll a maximum. So that's where this game's really fun. So if you're ever on a D4, you've got a 1 in 4 chance of it exploding, which makes sometimes some crazy dice. But if you're on a D12, yes, you've got better chance of getting that 4 or more, but you might explode more. Well, statistically, you're going to explode more on the D4. So it does mean all dice rolls are interesting and fun. I say it does lead to some crazy amounts of damage because you get to ace on the damage rolls. Now, 1 is always going to be something negative. So if you get 1 on either of the dice, you can sort of add a negative modifier in, slow the time down, make some more noise. If you roll both 1s, that's critical failure. You don't ever get to change that dice roll because we've got things like bennies in the game, which I'm just about to talk on, which will allow you to do a re-roll. But double 1, snake eyes, you're not re-rolling that. You are taking the consequences of a critical fail. Bennies, they are a meta currency in a game. Most characters are going to start with 3. The human gets 5 for this situation. Don't know what we're going to get once we get to the core rule book. I'd imagine it's going to be something similar. But you can spend these at any time. What can you spend them on? You can re-roll a failed roll. Not a critical success. You can ignore a complication, so say one of those 1s coming in. You can recover from being shaken. We'll explain that once we get to the damage rolls. You can make a soak roll, soak off some damage. Again, do that in the damage rolls. You can regain some flux points. Flux points are what the Ebonite is going to be using to cast its amazing magical abilities. You can draw a second action card, which means you've got more chance of going first or where you want within a combat, or you can use it if the Games Masters allows it just to influence the story. The right hand side here, we've got a map of Mort City. As you can see from me behind, there's lots of support for first and second edition. So hopefully we're going to see all of this nice and easily converted. I'm not saying don't go and get these, because if you buy these versions that we've got now, it's just going to let you sort of know and understand the world going in, because Savage Worlds is one of those that it's actually quite a nice, easy convert. So let's look at combat, because you're going to have combat, because you're an operative, you're going to be killing things, you're going to be protecting yourself, you're going to be wanting to succeed in your operations. Now, when combat starts, combat initiative is dealt with a deck of cards. So each player will get a deck of cards and each group of NPCs will get a card. And it will go from aces will go first all the way up to king. If there is a tie in the suits, it just goes spades, hearts, diamonds, clubs. However, if you ever pick up a joker, what the joker allows you to do is go whatever time you want within that round. You can even interrupt someone else's turn. You're also going to get instantly, everyone on your side is going to get a Benny. So if the games master gets one, all the NPCs get an additional Benny. The players, if one of them get it, they get an additional Benny. But that individual player that plays that joker is going to get +2 to the actions they take on that round. On your turn, you can basically do a movement and an action as well as a free action. So regular action is going to be things like attack, cast a spell, maybe do an additional move. The free action is, a couple of lines of dialect, drop to the floor, maybe swap a weapon out, something along those lines. And then you've got your move action, which in general, most of the creature, I think nearly everything had a movement pace of 6, which means you can go approximately 12 meters on the grid. You can take extra actions if you do a second action here, as you can see from this box, your second action is going to be at -2. If you do want to go to the third one, it is going to be -4. Melee attacks, you basically need to beat a number. So you're going to roll your attack and you're going to beat that parry ability, the derived stat that we talked about of the person you're attacking. And when it comes to ranged weapon, you have to beat the target number. Target number is going to be based on how much cover they're behind as well as the distance they are from you. This is always an amazing rule, which basically is bullet tax, because most of the operations that the players are going to do are going to be televised. So say there's no internet in this world. Most of the entertainment that anyone's got is just sitting in the TV. Remember, this was written in the 90s before the internet. But what the bullet tax is you will end up losing money for doing the job for the more bullets that you use, because they want it to be as entertaining as possible. They want the players to go and fight face to face in melee combat. Different rules for automatic weapons and rate of fire. So if weapons have got additional rate of fire, you can attack more people in that round. When it comes to damage, assuming that you hit, you're going to normally roll a d6 or multiples of d6 to do the amount of damage. If you do more than 4, for every 4 that you do, the players are going to take a wound. Players can take 3 wounds and then they're out of the game. Each wound they have will give them -1 on their actions. If you do less than 4 damage, then the player will be shaken. Now, shaken isn't bad. You haven't took damage, but you're a little bit stressed by the combat. And it means all you can do is that free action. So you can't actually attack. But remember, if you've got a Benny, you can just spend that Benny, so at the start of your turn, you cannot be shaken anymore. You can also, if you're out of Bennies or you don't want to use them, you can just make a spirit roll, trying to get a 4 or more, and if you succeed at that, then you're absolutely fine. You can just crack on as normal. That soaking damage rule, so anytime the player takes a wound, remember, 4 damage or more, they can spend a Benny and then try and make this soak roll, which they get to roll against their vigor. If they succeed, they can reduce the damage coming down. Now, Ebb Disciplines. Magic. Let's just make it simple, call it what it is. There are some in here. There's a lot more in the core rulebook, so we should hopefully see more. But the Ebonite character is going to be able to do some of these magics, and this is going to sort of break them down. Each magic they're going to cast is going to cost 1 flux, and I think they start with 3 or 4. Remember, again, you can spend Benny to get those flux points back. So the first one we're going to look at is Enhance. Enhance is the art of physically manipulating the Ebonite's own body to increase strength, speed, and form natural weapons, so they can make themselves larger and stronger with the boost, or they can grow teeth or claws. Protect, as you'd imagine, is the way to protect themselves. You are going to need to wear their death suit, and we're going to see the art for that. The death suit is one of the things that sort of attracted me to playing these characters. I love the spells, but they, as you can see here, they just look absolutely cool. They can flux regenerate in there as well. They can repel some extreme cold or hot temperatures. They then get the ability to blast. They won't have their sort of blast pistol, which is what they kind of magically shoot out of, which I think is really cool because it's a sort of flintlock pistol. They can do blinding flashes. They can see in the dark through their night vision. And then the one we've got here is the red thermal. There is a blue thermal as well to deal with cold, but this is more fire and heat manipulation. But due to that, it's going to make them resistant to cold. We've seen it move down, so we're now down into the hardware section. The hardware, we've got some words relating to the hardware: AP, armor penetration, the class, the damage, parry, range, reach if it's a weapon, rate of fire, how many people you can shot, and how many bullets it actually has within it. Then get some keywords. So for example, if it's a gruesome weapon, if a raise is rolled on the attack of this weapon, the wielder can roll their strength and add it to the damage instead of just the d6 raise. And things like shotgun and thrown and vibro. All the players are going to have headset communicators, so that's the way they're going to be able to talk to each other. But it's a closed link, so they're only going to be able to talk to themselves, but it does stop that sort of split the party. 5 examples of the armor. So we've got some basic Bastion armor here. This cool Ebonite death suit, all the way up to the honor-bound armor. It's 10 armor. And these are for the Shakhtars. We're going to see a couple of the examples of the races. I think I'd have loved to have seen more examples of just some of the races in here, just to sort of tease it. And I don't think there's enough in here to sort of sell the world. That's what I'm doing. I'm kind of telling you that you should. We've got medical kits, quick starts to sort of help you start healing. We're then going to look at some of the weapons. So medium weapons, we get the Ebb sword for the Ebonites, which, you know, they get a cool sword, they get cool armor and magic abilities, and that flintlock pistol. We're then going to get into things like the Stormers, and they're created in a lab. Death monsters. They're just designed for one thing and one thing only. The other thing that SLA Industries is very famous for is its amazing weapons and range weapons as well, which is kind of ironic due to the bullet tax that's in here. Here is your GMing section, which is small. So the main thing to pick up here is there's 2 types of NPCs when you go through this. You've got extras and wildcards. Wildcards are just like the players. They're going to get to roll that D6 plus their skill and the ability dice. They're also going to have 3 wound points. The extras don't get that extra dice, so they just roll the die on their character sheet, and they only get 1 wound until they're out. The rest of the book now is the We Care a Lot, which is a song by Faith No More. Well, obviously. It's probably a song by other people as well. But yeah, this is just, like I say, 4-part adventure. This actually, I'll show you this. So this is the blueprint news. So this is the BPN. The SCL here is 9+, so that's the level they need to be. We've got the 500 credits, and all their operation, nice and simple. So op squads require an investigation to a double homicide downtown district, Sector 33, Gladstone Heights, contact base homicides, Shiver, Keller. That's all the players need to do. Go and investigate the murder, well, the 2 murders, and see what happens. But this is what I was kind of saying going in. There's all of these sort of hints and tips that's going to help you actually run there. And because this is for the Games Master only, I don't really want to show anymore, because there's spoilers for every piece of art going through. So I'm going to give you 1 more page. And this is what I mean by how it's set out. So we've got, I think you'll be used to this if you've ran any of the game sessions. You've got all these boxes. So these are the bits that you read out, and it's going to explain it. But as we go through, it sort of gives hints, tips. It talks about, you know, bits that are, you know, important to the adventure, the impact of if they miss a really important bit of information, how you can actually hand it back onto the characters. What I'm going to do now is just jump to the end so we can look at some of the player characters and sort of see how a character sheet works. So here we've got the Operatives, the Tartan Terrors. Talks about the background. They were entirely made up of frothers. Now, frothers, again, this amazing, they were just humans that were addicted to drugs, and they've now, because of so long, they've become their own race in their own right, and they are basically Celtic sword wielding. They have these amazing sort of electrical claymores, and all they do is they get drugged up and just run, sort of in that sort of frenzied, sort of Slain type style as well. So it's, again, such a fun class to play, and they're completely dependent on those drugs. I am assuming we're going to have sort of like some sort of disadvantages in once the core rulebook actually comes out. So let's just have a look at the 5 operatives. I'm going to spend a little bit more time on Mike Fritter. Ben is 5. He is going to start with a few more. Size of 0. Don't need to worry about that for this. Pace 6. They can go up to 6 squares. And then parry of 5. So if he's going to take damage in melee combat, the opponent's going to need to roll a 6 or higher. Toughness of 5, armor of 4. So he's basically going to get 9. Soak off the damage, so to speak. Here's your agility. So every time he rolls a smart, he's going to roll a d6 plus that wild dice d6, remember. And then we've got all the skills going down here as well. And then edges and hindrances. So these are special abilities, feats, features, powers, abilities, whatever you want to call them. And then the equipment at the bottom. A little bit of the background, and then his strengths and weaknesses, and then his Bully Boy shotgun here, as well as his Bosch sleigh blade. We've got, I think it's Rotina, which is the Ebonite character, magic user, but uses, you know, it's a little bit mystical in the way they are. Got +7 to their armor because of that wonderful Ebb suit. So we have got, so the Ebb abilities, got Blast, which is going to be able to shoot, obviously Enhance, which is the one that's going to make it larger, Protect, and then the thermal red in there as well. We then get, this was the This race wasn't actually in first edition. It was added into second. The Nephrone, which is like a bird type race. They're small, so as you can see, their size is -1. Very good at getting in and out of places and very intelligent creatures. So let's then look at Rumble, who's the Stormer. These are created at birth to just be this total death monster. Incredibly strong, not too high on the smarts, as you can see here. Smarts 4, strength D12. Very good, getting to the front of combat, killing things. That's really what they're created to do. And to help keep them alive, they tend to have incredibly good regeneration skills. And then finally, we get the Honourable Shakhtar. They have their own personal warrior code, and they do stick to it, even when the game really doesn't need them to. They can be fun, they can be problematic to actually have in the party, but I would always include a Shakhtar if someone wants to play one. And that's it. I say it's a nice, quick, short video for me. I just wanted to sort of get this out there, show you what you're going to get in the quick start rule, especially as by accident it's on sale currently. But SLA Industries is a game that I think everyone should have in their collection. You should play it. The world is amazing. In fact, it's now coming out to Savage Worlds. I say it's made me really excited enough to sort of get this, get it played, get the video recorded. So I don't normally cover quick start rules, but I think this is definitely worthy of it. If you've played SLA, especially first edition, let me know how long your core rulebook lasted before you were hole punching it back. I have seen some people that have still got a first edition that is working as a book. You'll know what I mean if you ever played first edition. Second edition, good fun. It's just rolling a chunk of D10. But I think for me, the sweet spot, say, love Savage Worlds. So happy that this is coming out. As ever, let me know down in the comments below what you think of Savage Worlds. Please do like, share, subscribe to the channel. Help me grow. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.